Hi, I'm Ella Lawson. I was a fellow for CEEP in 2018, and now I'm an intern for the National Fellows team. In this training, we're going to discuss coalition building and long-term planning. These two topics will connect and strengthen all the other work you do as a fellow, so it's important to understand them before you begin. Students will learn how to build coalitions to support voter engagement work. They will learn how to plan long-term and address the most pressing needs of their campus, and will grow to understand the importance of professional relationships in the success of their coalition and plans. First, we're going to discuss coalition building. We're talking about how to start and found a voter engagement coalition on a campus that has never had one before. If your campus currently has a coalition, think of this training as a checklist and start implementing any steps that you have not before. Coalitions are meaningful partnerships centered around the same goal. You're going to want to build partnerships with organizations and individuals who care about voter engagement. There are 3 stages of building a coalition: establish, reach out, and meet and plan. You have to start by establishing a coalition. You should define its mission and give it a name. Then you reach out to potential allies and invite them to become members of the coalition. Finally, you bring the coalition together and meet as a group to discuss goals, upcoming events, and to build teammanship. Above all else, it's important for you to get started early. Establishing a coalition is hard work and it takes time, but it will strengthen your work greatly and ensure that it endures. First, you should brainstorm a mission of the coalition. Even though your mission might change over time as partners add their input, you're going to need an idea to draw partners in. The mission statement should be short and nonpartisan with long-term staying power. Something along the lines of, "This coalition is dedicated towards registering, engaging, and encouraging students to vote." Likewise, give the coalition a name so that you have a unified message from the very start. The name doesn't have to be anything complicated, but it should be short and memorable. Finally, you should register as a student organization on your campus. This will give your coalition more credibility, and it may help with some bureaucratic processes, like room reservations. Prior to forming a coalition, you should take the CEEP campus assessment. This will help you target the particular needs of your campus in the areas of campus commitment, student voter registration, student education on candidates and electoral issues, and mobilizing students to vote. You can also use information from Tufts University's the National Study of Learning, Voting, and Engagement, or NSOLV, to direct your efforts. These 2 sources can also help you collect data, which may help persuade others to join the coalition. After completing some of the initial planning efforts, it's time to start reaching out. Focus on developing real relationships and show that you care about the other organizations and their efforts by simply attending their meetings. Have conversations, but don't try to get them involved in the coalition yet. For now, just treat every person and group with deep respect and build trust. As you go, try to identify which individuals and organizations are aligned with CEEP's 7 key ways and your coalition's mission statement. Pause every now and then to ask yourself, who is at the table? What groups have you not reached out to? What does diversity and inclusion look like to you? Who is missing? Whose voice needs to be here? Many fellows get stuck at the beginning of the semester with lots of good ideas and fun events they want to plan, but they aren't really sure about how to go making them happen. This is where Cultivating New Relationships comes in. It's extremely difficult to do this fellowship on your own, so the more people and departments you have on your side, the easier and more effective your fellowship experience will be. We've broken this down into 4 main steps: identifying your allies on campus, or finding the people with the same goals as you. Staying positive and making sure to frame your partnerships as beneficial to both your partners in their goals and not just your own goals. Staying kind, following up and keeping the conversation going even if there's initial rejection. And lastly, not being afraid to reach out. The last point is so important. How will someone know that you have all of these great ideas and plans if you don't tell them? One of the first places you might look to for partnerships is your student government. They're usually a civically engaged body with a lot of reach and the ability to enact widespread change on campus. They also might be able to help you with funding and with communicating with administration and the rest of the student body. You should also reach out to student organizations. Here, it is important not just to build relationships with politically oriented groups like the College Democrats or College Republicans, but also with groups that are normally unengaged, like STEM students. As always, stay nonpartisan. Enlist key campus leaders to join your coalition. They'll be a great help down the line for successful institutional projects. Include deans, your provost and president, staff from student affairs, service learning and residence life, your registrar, IT department, campus newspaper advisor, athletic coaches, faculty development coordinator, campus librarians, and faculty from as many diverse academic departments as possible. Even if you're not sure about which department you'll need help from later on, start building relationships now with as many as possible. Peer-to-peer organization is a key part of building a coalition from the ground up. You should talk to your friends, colleagues, and classmates about voter engagement and encourage them to pass the message on. You can enable them to get involved by giving them tools and resources that CEEP has given you or that you've created yourself. Towards the end of your time as a fellow, you can pass on CEEP's information to other civically minded students so that they can become fellows and continue your work. After developing some professional relationships and connections, it's time to bring your coalition together. It's important to prepare before you host a meeting and end with an engagement plan and a plan to keep meeting. Keep in mind that you may be managing difficult personalities. Be patient, respectful, and attentive. This is about establishing trust and creating a community around student voting. Before convening a meeting of campus stakeholders, you need to make some preparations. You should reserve a space, date, and time for your meeting, then contact all potential allies individually with an invitation. You also need to prepare for the content of the meeting. Research what your campus has done in the past regarding election engagement and brainstorm some new activities. Gather and create materials and handouts for the presentation and discussion. At the first meeting, have everyone sign in and then introduce everyone to each other. Give a brief explanation of the mission of the coalition and lead a discussion on it. This is an opportunity to make the attendees feel included. See what ideas and suggestions that they have. Now, based on the results of your campus assessment and self-data and other findings, lead a discussion of a potential engagement plan. Ask your partners, what are some achievable short-term and long-term goals? How can each member of the coalition contribute? What are the next steps? What are some action items? At the end of the meeting, thank them all for coming. Working with different people and organizations can be very tricky, and it's something you'll have to navigate for the rest of your professional life. It requires a lot of patience, emotional intelligence, and care. To keep the coalition working, all members must feel valued and included. Spend time outside of the coalition meetings talking to each member, and always be available before and after meetings to chat. Having organized meetings will also ensure that there is a general sense of equality and unity within the coalition. Run efficient meetings to show that you value everyone's time. Start by creating a specific agenda beforehand, sticking to that agenda, and creating a task list at the end of the meeting. During the meeting, take notes on the agenda, and make sure that every task on the agenda either has a next step or has been completed. Distribute those notes with the next steps to the team after the meeting, and assign tasks to different people on the team. I'd recommend that you ask your team who would like to do which tasks. If someone actively wants to do a particular task, they are more likely to do it, better than someone who's just checking it off the list. You should also work on communicating timely and effectively. Early in the semester, when you're creating your team, choose a form of communication that works best for you all, and answer in a timely manner. If you wait too long to answer emails, it can really hinder your event planning and your progress this semester. When you're talking to your team or your partners, make sure your messages, whether they're in a group chat or in an email, are professional, clear, and to the point. Good communication can make a team, but bad communication can break one. To continue your coalition, set up running dates and times for your next meetings. Check back in with members of the coalition frequently so that you understand how far along the coalition has come and what you still need to do. Keep growing the coalition by adding interested members. Every semester or every year, you should update your engagement plans. Celebrate your achievements along the way. Take the time to thank your partners for their help and let them know about the team's successes. When navigating professional relationships, it's important to understand what your relationship with this particular organization looked like in the past. Keep in mind that if you worked with them prior, but you didn't work very well together, that might affect your relationship going forward. Luckily, organizations on a college campus change often, so a bad history with an organization doesn't mean you can't reach out to them in the future. Just be courteous and knowledgeable of the situation you're in. And don't forget, if you want to ask something of a partner, make sure they are also benefiting from this ask. It's easier when you have a common cause like voter engagement that you're working towards, because oftentimes what benefits you will also benefit them since you have a common cause. After you finish your work this semester, maintaining those professional relationships you built will be very important for any future work you want to do. The most important parts of maintaining relationships is checking in regularly, being intentional with your time, and making those relationships a priority. We are all very busy, so we do have to actively prioritize checking in on our professional relationships. With things like LinkedIn, keeping up with professional relationships can be very manageable. You can also work on connecting others to your existing partners so they can further their goals. This will help strengthen voter engagement work in the long run. Now, we're going to turn to long-term planning and talk a little bit more about how to develop an engagement plan. An engagement plan is a way for you to organize all your activities and ideas for the semester into one action plan. At the start of the semester, your state director will provide you with a template and help you create an engagement plan that meets the needs of your campus. The engagement plan is a working document, so it will change throughout the semester, reflecting not just what you plan to do, but also what you have done. The plan includes sections for voter registration, voter education, absentee and early voting, and getting out the vote, as well as a section to plan your overall institutional project. Your engagement plan will not only help you, but also be a guide for your coalition's efforts. We recommend that you start planning early and keep building towards future elections. Even the brainstorming process for an engagement plan can take a while, so take time to pull ideas from lots of people to keep it creative. Some ideas take time to implement, so begin preparation early and be ready for a long process. Your engagement plan should strive to create an ongoing political discussion on campus. Even years without a presidential election will still have lots of local, state, and primary elections. You should use this time to test ideas and strategies to make your engagement activities stronger. Your engagement plan should include a working calendar, something that will not only help you stay organized, but can also be shared with the rest of the coalition. Regularly update your knowledge of election-related dates, especially as COVID-19 continues to impact our election cycle. You should include election-related dates and deadlines for voter registration, absentee ballots, and early voting. You should also include deadlines to request a polling place on campus. Also, keep track of campus calendars by including the deadlines for class registration, dates of major events, and timeframes for submitting election-related materials. If your campus has special events or traditions, tap into these to make your engagement plan specific to your campus. This will help draw attention to your efforts and extend your reach. Think about large-scale events that include a lot of the student body, like athletics, homecoming, and orientation. You can also help fit your plan to your campus by following CEEP's recommendations for running a successful social media campaign, and by focusing on the particular social media platforms that students at your university prefer. One component of your engagement plan should be creating an election-related section of your campus website and linking to it when you distribute key information. This gives your voter engagement effort official legitimacy and provides a central location to post resources, link to important websites and resources, and highlight existing campus voter participation initiatives. It can also encourage more people to join your coalition. While working on your engagement plan, brainstorm funding sources for ideas not already built into campus budgets. The earlier you start on this, the more successful you'll be. CEEP offers funds for activities, but check out your campus's resources as well. Look for organizations and departments who can provide funds, like your student government, civically-minded departments, and other members of your coalition. Consider all your costs, from materials to food to the materials necessary for larger events. Finally, put your engagement plan into action by hosting events, registration drives, meetings, and more. Here's the time to utilize your coalition and all the strengths of its constituents. You should keep track of your successes and failures along the way to help improve efficiency and talk through what's happening with your state director and campus advisor. Look to our best practices training for tips on how to host successful events and check out some of the other resources for fellows for more advice. We also recommend that you reevaluate regularly and continue adjusting your engagement plan throughout the semester. Coalitions, engagement plans, and professional relationships are all key components of a successful semester as a CEEP Fellow. To help yourself down the road and utilize these three components, start early, communicate clearly, respect others, set goals, and keep records. CEEP is here for you and ready to help you have a great semester. Reach out to your state director or CEEP staff so that we can support you throughout the semester. We're here to help. Let us know if you have any questions. Thank you all for joining us. Be sure to check out and follow us on social media or join our Slack channel for conversations and idea sharing with our fellows all across the U.S. Once again, welcome to CEEP.